Okay, so the first dream I had, and I definitely remember, and I was young, and I don't remember the age. I don't want to be wrong, but I also don't know if I'm right. So I'm gonna say somewhere between 10 to 4, no, 13, maybe 14. I don't know, somewhere around there. I was young. I was raised in the church, but I never really took it very seriously. Um, okay, so the dream was I used to live in California, so it was back then. I'm gonna turn this, I have my monitor with my children. Just turn that. Okay. So, uh, I was back in California where I used to live, and we lived on a dead end street. And in the dream, it started as if people on the street were gathered at the top of the street where like the stop sign is. And we were gathered knowing something was going to happen. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. So they were gathered. We knew something was going on, and we were having like a meeting. It definitely was like gloomy. It was a gloomy day. Now in California, it's not usually gloomy. So I just remember it being kind of gloomy in my dream. And we were meeting. I was viewing, at this point, like if I was above looking down, I could see myself. And we were all gathered. And then we're like, okay, let's go. We got to go in our homes. We had to be in our homes. So we ran in our home our home was like further down the street, like mid, but I ran home, and everyone dispersed. I get in my home, and I'm in like the living room, and then I hear a knock on the door. And it was exactly, I think I didn't quite, like my knower didn't really understand what's going on, so I was viewing. But who I was in the dream knew what was happening. And I just knew it was urgent. And I opened the door, and there was Jesus. And I'm like, oh, Jesus was coming. So I was like thinking like, oh yeah, that's right. So we were gathering like, okay guys, we got to be prepared. We have to be prepared to get in our house and be prepared for his coming. And I opened the door. I'm like happy. I'm like, Jesus, like he's here to take us. And he had this face. So he had like the body of Jesus, like the robe, kind of floaty, maybe glowy, maybe, but his head, it was I'm coming from a mind of a child. His head was like, I guess what we would know nowadays is an emoji, a smiley face. And it reminded me of like the smiley face that used to be like the face of Walmart, the little floaty smiley face. Anyways, it was a smiley face, except he wasn't smiling. And he looked at me, and he wasn't smiling. He was kind of frowning, and he just shook his head at me. And the door had shut, or he had left. I can't remember that part. Like maybe the door shut on his own and he left. And I just kind of stood there stumped, like, why didn't he take me with him? Why did he tell me no? Why did he shake his head? I just don't understand. I'm a Christian. I don't get it. We were ready for his coming. Like I was like, oh Jesus, like I know who you are. But he shook his head at me. And that's how the dream ended. And I was devastated. I was so sad that I didn't understand. And I remember that scared me as a kid, that I thought I was doing all the right things. I mean, probably wasn't really an obedient child. Probably didn't have the greatest thoughts. I wasn't really cleansed. I wasn't circumcised in my heart. Like that's what God really calls for, is a circumcision of the heart. Being a kid, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember much about my childhood, to be honest. But that really scared me for a lot of years. And then it doesn't help that the majority of a lot of my tribulation and rapture dreams, I was always left behind. So I think I would get pretty butthurt and angry and sad that the Lord would show me that I would be left behind, and I didn't understand. And like, I did have like I was raised in a church with a lot of grace talk, but at the same time, I focused, I think because I thought maybe it's my works, and I became more of a works person because I thought I need to please him. I need to please him. I need to please him. I think this is where it came from. Like I said, I was not mature in my walk. I was not mature in my relationship with Yeshua. And I didn't go to him with these dreams. I didn't say, Lord, what does this mean? Instead, I let it scare me and kind of like, not necessarily walk away, but turn away and be butthurt. So another dream of mine that I remember, and I had when I was older, so maybe, I think before I was married, so over 5 years ago, but I don't remember when. See, like, the Lord has definitely shown me things in my dreams, has used me in my dreams, but I didn't write them down. I've had a lot of scary, like, these dreams to me were scary, but I've had worse dreams. I've had very demonic dreams. Obviously, I believe I was being attacked, and very visual. So I feel like I'm a very visual person. The enemy likes to take advantage of that and attack me in my dreams, because I believe that's also a gift that God has given me, is dreams and visions. Anyways, so that's a whole nother story. I don't know if I really want to get into like demonic dreams. I don't want to remember them. anyways, so second dream. Okay, let's keep moving forward. So second dream. Now this is just a second dream I remember. This is obviously after that other dream, so I don't. Okay, doesn't matter. This one, it was outside. It was kind of sunny. I remember it being kind of sunny. The location was maybe a city. I don't remember any tall buildings, but I remember it being very like pretty populated, and there was a lot of us outside, a lot of people. Hold on one second. And it's kind of like in the streets, but the problem was it was very kind of like a lot of rubble. So things, I guess what you can say what's going on in this world right now, where people are tearing up cities, you know, burning places down. It just seemed like this place was, there's a lot of rubble everywhere, probably buildings burnt down, burnt down or fallen down. It's just like, it kind of looked like destruction, but then the way that I felt and maybe other people felt, people were just gathered around hanging out, I guess, that we were okay with it. It was nothing, it was pretty normal to us. I just remember it being sunny and we were just chilling. And then I noticed that there were some people kind of like in the center. There was like a line. People were lined up. I didn't understand why. I didn't ask why. But then these limos came up. And I'm viewing this. Limos came up, and it turns out these people were waiting in line for these limos, and they were being entered, like being taken away. And they were waiting. They knew to be there, and they knew what was happening. No one else really knew what was happening, but we were kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Like, why are these people lined up? What are these limos? And they were being ushered into these limos and taken away. And then it hit me. It was interesting because, I mean, obviously when we're raptured, we're going up, but it was as if they're being taken away. And this was in a way, a way I was being revealed of a rapture, being taken away. And I thought, oh, yeah, me too. Like, that's literally how I felt. I was like, yeah, me too, Jesus, right? And I'm running out there. I was like, me too. Like, I'm supposed to be taken away too. And it was like the last limo, and they just said no and shut the door and drove away. And I remember thinking, like, me knowing, being raised as a Christian, like, when you're left behind, you're left behind. And I thought, no way. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I also, me too, Jesus. Like, I love Jesus, and I'm supposed to be with this group of people. I'm supposed to be going with these group of people. And it didn't hit me, like, how come no one informed me to line up, kind of thing. And I knew as soon as they left, and the last one left, that, how would I explain this? I usually would use a certain word, but that things were going to go down. And I instantly was like, I got to leave. And I ran away and hid under, like, well, this, like, building. Everything was all broken up, it felt like, but there was like a covering, and I hid under this covering, and there was people there, and I was like meeting. I was like, we got to figure, I think, like a game plan. We need a game plan because things are going to go down right now, and we need to figure out a way to survive. And I think that's where my mind went, kind of like in survival mode. Like, I know what's gonna happen. We need to game plan and survive what's coming. And I think that was it. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure if I would have written it down then, I think there was talk. I could have remembered what we were saying, maybe who I was talking to. It was a tiny, tiny group of people that met under this thing, because there was a crowd in this. I wish there was a better way. I had words to describe it. There was a crowd in the center of this place, this like city or whatever. And I mean, it wasn't, I mean, people were lined up and left, but there was like a good handful of people that were there waiting to leave. But there was a crowd of people, and we were for some reason gathered outside hanging out. And we saw them all leave, but only a select few understood what was happening. And we were like ready to be like, let's figure out a way to leave this place and go survive. And that was the end of the dream. It's interesting talking about it. I haven't talked about it in years or talked about it out loud. I thought about it a lot in my head. So that was another dream where I woke up and I was like, Lord, why am I always being left behind? I don't understand. And I took it to heart really bad, like in a bad way, that the Lord was going to leave me behind, kind of showing me what's going to happen instead of like, hey, here's a warning, or maybe warn other people. So those are my two dreams regarding rapture, tribulation, beginning of tribulation. Yeah, so I don't want this to discourage anybody, but it should be a really good wake-up call. And that's how I should have used it, as like, oh, a wake-up call. Let me get things right. Let's get things situated in here. Let's actually let's actually truly love Jesus. And understand his heart better, understand his word better. And, I mean, if you read the scriptures and you read Jesus is talking in the Gospels, you would understand the center of everything is love. You can have faith, but if you don't have love, like, you can have works, but if you don't have love, if nothing comes from a center of true, pure love, especially the love of the Father, I feel like we are in trouble. So if you earnestly seek him as the Lord, I want this. I want to have this love for you. I think that's where it came from for me. The enemy had taken advantage of a lot of hurts in me to put up this border, a wall, to make it extremely difficult to get through, to learn how to love Jesus, to love Yeshua again. Because there was a one point in my life where I truly believe I was like, I was really close to Jesus at one point, and I got things that happened. Anyways, I keep thinking like, Lord, I used to be that way. What happened? And why do I feel so not emotional anymore? I don't cry anymore. I'm not really, like, when it comes to me entering into prayer with him, like, I just, like, I feel like a cold heart. And I want a heart of flesh. I want a heart that's softened towards him. You just gotta ask him. You just gotta ask him to help you with that. And that has been where I've been lately, is like, Lord, please soften my heart. Break these barriers and the lies that the enemy has put up. Break them down. Let me get through here. Let me get through this and have victory in this. Because we do have victory in Jesus. But it has to be a sought out thing. We actually have to make the effort and let the Lord see our heart for what we truly like. I truly meant it, and I truly mean it. And I think he sees that. And I've been experiencing some really cool things lately, you guys. The Holy Spirit is really being poured out on people who are really, truly wanting it. Not for their own personal glory or gain, but for the glory of the kingdom and for our King Jesus. So I just encourage you to really seek him out and experience the true presence of the Lord in your life and in your being, in your soul, in your spirit. Because he will uplift you. He will uplift you literally and bring peace, pour peace on you. So those are my dreams. Again, don't take it to heart. Okay, hold on. Okay, well, again, yeah, let this be an encouragement, more of a wake-up call for you. And if you have any questions, if you want any prayer, please reach out to me. And I encourage you to also share, when you know that it's a warning from the Lord or an encouragement from the Lord, to share your dreams. Share the great things that the Lord has done in your life, your testimony. Only then can we really be raw and open, and people can relate to us and experience the true love of Yeshua. Okay, well, shalom and happy Tuesday. I hope you all are enjoying this crazy rainy weather in the Pacific Northwest. Here we're having crazy rainy weather, but thank you, Lord, for the rain that is watering our ground and our trees and our plants. We don't have to water all our plants in the backyard, so that's kind of nice. Anyways, okay, just a lot of blessings. How wonderful is that? Okay, love you guys.